This conference will
Good
now
evening,
be
everybody.
recorded.
Welcome to our Town of Ocean Ridge February meeting. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayala,
Present.
Commissioner Hutchins,
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos,
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here. Now, I'd like, before we get to pledge allegiance, to say a little moment of silence for Mr. DeLeon for that tragic accident here at Town Hall. Thank you. All right, it's time for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you see the agenda before you, commissioners, or is there any deletions, additions, or modifications?
Mr. Mayor, I have an addition to the consent agenda, our public professional service agreement with Ingenuity Group, our engineers needed to be renewed. So I'm asking to place that on the consent agenda.
All right, place that number, is everybody okay
I
with
would call it 11B.
And Lynn, in my staff meeting, there's something we're supposed to bring up on the comment.
Yeah, that'll be during my manager's report.
Okay.
And Lynn, I wanted to add the one thing, and you said I had to wait till commissioner's comments. Do I have to let you know that I'm going to do that?
No.
Well, do you have a comment on the commissioner?
I will.
Okay, great, we'll add that.
I will have a few. I'll be concise, I promise.
Okay, so ladies first. So number 17 would be Commissioner Cassidy, and number 18 would be Commissioner Ayala. Okay, and 12 was the contract for Ingenuity. Is there anything else?
I think that's 11B.
During the consent agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, number 12, right?
We can make it 11B, that way we don't have to renumber everything.
All right, 11B it is. 12. Okay, 11B, anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. So anybody make a motion?
I move the agenda is approved as amended.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, I believe we have a proclamation. Vice Mayor Cos?
Yes, we do. For the last couple of years, I've noticed someone on the beach, and she always has a large trash bag, and she picks up trash virtually every single day for an hour to 3 hours in the afternoon. And she's here with us tonight. Do you want to come to the podium, Lauren? Let me read the proclamation first. Proclamation honoring Lori Arserold. Lori Arserold was born in 1965 in Massachusetts, and whereas Lori Arserold was one of 10 children and was always told by her father, the world is not a trash can, pick up after yourself. And whereas Lori Arserold was a nurse for over 40 years and always picked up after her patients and would clean up the halls and room for safety and cleanliness. And whereas Lori Arserold has been married to her husband of 25 years, Salvatore, and has a combination of 6 children and 6 grandchildren. And whereas Lori Arserold retired from nursing and after having her grandchildren decided that she did not want them to live in a trash can world, she decided to start cleaning the beaches in Ocean Ridge. And whereas Lori Arserold started bringing bags to the beach and filling them up with an average of 3 pounds of trash a day, including items such as shoes, toothpaste, plastic pots, bottles, bottle caps, and cigarette butts. And whereas Lori Arserold is known in Ocean Ridge as the Angel of Beachway, and everyone thanks her when they see her picking up the trash. And whereas Lori Arserold has been picking up the trash on the beach for the past 2 years, for 6 months throughout each year, and has picked up a grand total of almost 800 pounds of trash. Now, therefore, I, Steve Cos and Mayor Jeff Pugh of the town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby congratulate Lori Arsenault on February 3rd, 2025.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Everyone here, please don't litter. First of all, I have OCD, so if it's in my vision, I have to pick it up. Second of all, I don't want my grandchildren to grow up in a trash can or an ashtray. And third of all, it keeps me limber by bending down and back up again. So it benefits everybody, and if everybody, even if you're a cigarette smoker, and I greatly appreciate it, because I was one, and I used to put out my butts and the thing, and I'm paying penance now. I'm picking up everyone else's cigarette butts. So if you do smoke, please don't do that. I'd appreciate it, my grandkids would appreciate it, my great-great-grandkids would appreciate it. Thank you very much for appreciating me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori.
All right. Kelly, you going to do the announcements?
Okay, the meeting schedule for the next month is as follows. The regular town commission meeting on Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. The community standards will be tomorrow, Tuesday, February 4th at 10 a.m. The planning and zoning meeting and infrastructure surtax oversight committee meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 18th at 9 a.m. The board of adjustment meeting has been canceled. All meetings are held in the commission chambers at Town Hall. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, February 17th, 2025 in observance of the President's Day holiday. And any residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notifications and news through Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, public comment. Ron's first, Terry. He beat you up.
He got up.
He got up a lot faster than you did.
Two handicapped.
I'm just gonna call your name, just.
Hi, Ron Kern, 5110 North Ocean Boulevard. This is, the hat I have on tonight is the treasurer of Parkdale Manor House, which is part of Crown Colony. I'm sure you're all aware of a grant program called My Florida Safe Condo. This program was put out in July, the governor signed in July, a $30 million grant for those that have capital projects done in their house. Through the efforts of Town Manager Lynn and Commissioner Cassidy, we got kind of an early warning that this was coming. And I was able to, the day the gavel went down, I was able to get online, and we fortunately got an application number. And I'm glad we did, because 3 days later, even though the grant had $175,000 matching fund to it, that $30 million was eaten up by the number of people that signed up for it in 3 days. So the good news is that we're moving on. We're in the next stage, which is to they have an independent inspector coming and doing the roofs. In our case, it's a roof replacement, $350,000 roof replacement on Parkdale. And once he does that, you get the report, you put that in, then they come back and ask you for some financials and those kind of things. And after that, somebody makes a decision I'm sure if they look at the financials, what the matching grant would be. But I surely do appreciate that. Without that heads up, we probably wouldn't even got into the queue. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I want to thank the chief, because when I'm away, obviously things get done, but when I'm away, the chief gave us, they donated it to us, portable defibrillators. We took whatever he wanted to give us. We now subsequently have had 4 people, I think, trained in CPR here. So the combination of those plus what we already had as defibrillators makes the whole Crown Colony complex really safe. No matter where you are, you're within steps of the defibrillator and trained people. So those 2 things happened, okay, since I've been away in the summer. I appreciate the work and the donation from the police department. And thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Wasn't that the Starbright?
No, we procured new AEDs, and the AEDs that were going out of service were still had a good, expectancy of life. So we donated several of them to several of the condos in town, and they were one of the condos that we donated to.
Great. And you instituted the classes for the CPR, right?
Correct. We just held our second CPR here, the 22nd, we hosted it here. And we're hosting one in Briney again sometime in the next couple weeks. So we'll be our 4th CPR class, AD, stop and bleed class that we've had
Wow.
last 2 years.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ron. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks so very much, guys.
Can I make a comment? I reached out to a number of condo HOAs in town about that, and there was another one who was a day behind him and was shut out.
Wow.
So Ron was on top of it.
All right, Terry.
All right. Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. I'm going to make some comments about that article that was in the Coastal Star about the inlet. You see the first name that was mentioned was Betty Bingham. Betty's always looking out for us, and she does a good job. She's a good warrior for the town of Ocean Ridge. But one of the comments I wanted to clear up was a mistake in the article. I hope John doesn't throw a knife in my back.
A pen, maybe.
The sand transfer does not go under the inlet. It goes up and over the inlet through the bridge. That's a
Correct.
fixed bridge, and the pipe is attached to the A1A bridge.
Right.
And that's how the sand moves. And the interesting little piece of trivia about that is that the old diesel pump moved much more sand in an hour than the new electric one, but they just run it longer.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why that pipe can't go under the inlet is because, as Betty will tell you, that's solid coral rock, not limestone. Limestone's on the top, and it's part of what is known as the Anastasia Ridge, which starts up near Jacksonville, goes all the way down to Broward.
Mhm.
And that's why you could have had a town named Anastasia Ridge instead of Ocean Ridge. The other thing that the folks down in Manalapan whine and cry about this, that we're taking too much sand. First of all, we're not doing it. The county does it with the pump. And they have a permit through Department of Environmental Protection, state agency. So instead of whining and crying, they can file an action against the state agency through an administrative law process. And they got to go in there with the right lawyers, the right data, and it's expensive, it's complicated. And talking to all these people about what we in Ocean Ridge are doing to them and what the county does, doesn't get them anywhere. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
You go first, please. You're an Ocean Ridge treasure.
Betty Bigger, 1 East Ocean Avenue. Couple of things. One, the first of the year, I'd like to request $1 for the rental of the sidewalk, which is on my property, with permission. It has always been there. Mother gave them permission so they could make the corner there safe. She would not let them buy it. In case the county wanted to widen the road, we could fight it. So the sidewalk is on our property. That's number one. Number two, I hope you saw the pictures of the inlet. How much Manalapan's beach has gone up and how much they've taken from the beach up here.
Mhm.
I still say they're stealing our sand.
Thanks, Betty.
Betty. I'm stealing our sand. Okay.
Janet Shine, 2020 Dolphin. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner, Chief, Town Manager, and fellow residents of Ocean Ridge. Always a pleasure to stand before you guys and have a chat. I'm here tonight on behalf of Starbright Civic Collective to share what I think is exciting news about an event that we're doing that promises to bring our Ocean Ridge residents together while continuing our mission to enhance life and protect our county residents. On Tuesday, February 27th at 5 p.m., we will host a fundraising event, a truly special gathering at the renowned O Palm Beach Resort. The event will feature premium cocktails, a Nobu sushi bar, a tacos extravaganza, and a pasta, all kinds of stuff. To say this is going to be a foodie event is really understating how incredible it's going to be. We'll also have a jazz duo for music, and of course, it's going to be on the ocean with the view of the ocean and the resort. And finally, the general manager is going to be giving Ocean Ridge residents an insider's view of what will be happening with the resort under Larry Ellison's management. And of course, we'll have our famous silent auction. The O Resort is the diamond sponsor for this event, so you know you're in for an evening to remember. But this event isn't really about that. It's about continuing the impactful work that Starbright has taken for our town, to benefit our town. And we're proud to have already donated over $40,000 this year to Ocean Ridge to help improve safety through the purchase of a drone and 3 static cameras. And we've also done contributions that funded a dog and a water station, EMT first aid training, working with the chief, and an amazing job. Our very popular bingo night, which is coming back March 4th, mark it down. Our Aging Gracefully workshop, and upcoming on February 12th, a sound bowl and meditation event for all of us to calm down, because we all kind of need that now. And all of these initiatives are done at no cost to our town residents. Through our previous fundraising efforts, we've been able to do all that, and we're hoping to continue to enhance the quality of life that we all cherish here in this precious town. So tonight, I'm asking for those who are able to help us keep this momentum going and attend the event. You can see Lisa or Jean if you'd like to get a ticket tonight. And if you can't come, if February 27th doesn't work, donate your ticket, and you can play a virtual role in supporting our efforts. Every ticket sold will go to help us do more projects to help make a difference here in Ocean Ridge. And as a note, 100% of all the funds raised at this event are going directly to benefit the town. The O was so impressed with what we're doing that they donated the event. So it's really a masterful thing. So please, everyone, let's come together, make the event a success, not just for what it offers in that moment of getting to go to the O for some great food, but actually for the lasting impact it can create for our town. So mark your calendars, February 27th, 5 to 7, and please join us. Thanks again for your support, and we appreciate everything the town's doing to make us safer. And Chief, especially you, we appreciate all the partnership. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Janet. Anybody else, public comment? All right, so closing public comment, back to the commission. All right, approval of the consent agenda, do I hear a motion?
We changed it.
Yeah, I move that we approve the consent agenda as amended to include the Ingenuity contract renewal.
I'll second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we're moving on to the regular agenda items. Approval of the contract for the purchase of property located within the town boundaries for the purpose of preservation and conservation. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town staff has negotiated an option contract with Spanish Creek LLC for the purchase of 2 vacant and unimproved parcels referred in the agreements. If I can read them, it won't take too long. For $280,000 with an aerial photo. These properties are adjacent. First one is adjacent to Town Hall, and the second one is adjacent to the first one. This is similar to when the town purchased the Priest property in 2022. The town desires to purchase the property for the following reasons: boost the town's community rating system rating and lower flood insurance rates for residents, directly support the goals and objectives found in the town's comprehensive plans, conservation element, and coastal management element, directly supports the coastal resiliency partnership strategies as set forth in a multi-jurisdictional 22-23 vulnerability assessment, further desires of the current owner and the town to change the land use designation and zoning of the property to preservation and conservation to preserve the precious mangrove areas and related marine habitats and resources. The town has also received a FERDAP grant for the purchase of the property, which will provide $140,000 towards the purchase, a 50% match towards the town's use of funds. So I suggest that the commission adopt this and approve the purchase contract.
All right, any questions for Lynn?
Yeah, just want to make sure everyone understands, it's not that the town is spending $280. Well, we have to spend $280,000, but then upon execution, we get back $140. So really, it's only costing us $140.
Yeah, aren't we also, want to expand on it, aren't we thinking about doing like some boardwalk, and that's where we can launch kayak?
Not a boardwalk.
We talked about
Or
doing
a
a boardwalk, but the issues with the mitigation are too much, so we will be partnering with the county to create what's called a blue trail, which is a water trail designed to highlight different natural inlets into the mangrove area, as well as put up educational resources for people that are using the trail.
And warning signs, don't go after 4 o'clock or before 8 a.m. No scenes.
I'm going to take out the bug
Yeah, that's
concession.
it. You get the net when you go there after 4 p.m. Anyway, that's a great thing for the town. And it's in perpetuity for the conservation easement.
Yes.
And the county is very happy to work with us on this.
It's great. Good job on the grants.
Yeah.
Mr. Cassidy?
Thanks.
Canada? All right, motion? Public comment?
Terry Brown, Harvard.com. The only comment I wanted to make was the public access. Since you're taking public money and there need to be signage, there needs to be hours posted, and a launch for the kayaks. The reason why I bring this up, because I know it has to happen that way. My aunt gave 10 acres of land on the St. Johns River, and it had a deed restriction that it had to be used as a nature preserve and training. So the county of Putnam County got $500,000 from that trust fund to fix it up and put in a floating dock, not a hard deck walkway, but a dock that floats so that the people can, well, they have parking is the only problem. They have, well, you don't own that property. If you bought that property, like I suggested, you could have a direct access to that conservation area. But anyway, that's necessary, that you gotta follow up with a report, a detailed scheme about what you're gonna do and how you're gonna post it. And just public access has to happen. So they're gonna be walking down here through the town hall and go to the launch site?
We actually have the opportunity to partner with the county and their preservation and conservation properties that are adjacent to have a project that allows the public access that crosses more than just those two parcels, because we also have to provide it for the Priest property.
So we don't need to have, they don't need to have access from the town property?
We can provide it jointly with the county, yes.
Yeah, okay. The only reason why I know that is because that property up at the St. Johns River was never donated to the family members. It was donated to the State Wildlife Federation.
Thank you, Terry. Any other public comment? All right, back to the commission. Any other discussion?
I just had a question for the chief. The John boat, will that be able to launch now through there?
I'd have to look, I don't know how dense, the shrubbery is, we can surely take a look at it.
Cool, thanks.
All right, is there a motion?
I move to approve the option contract to purchase the property.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Fantastic. Number 13, night shift premium for dispatchers. Lynn?
As directed by the commission, I looked into this. There was some uncertainty as to whether it was approved by the commission or not. I'm here to tell you that the funds are in the 24-25 budget. If the commission would like to move forward with moving the dispatchers to a $2 an hour night shift premium, the only thing I would say is keep in mind that the officers were only permitted $1 in the current collective bargaining. Whatever pleases the commission.
And this also, the alternative motion includes a back pay, right?
It would allow a one-time payment. We cannot do retroactivity for any kind of employee paid things, but you can do a one-time payment that would make up the difference between the hours that they have so far been paid for.
Okay. Anything to add?
Are we
Counselor?
discussing or?
Yep. Any discussion?
So, there was a lot of discussion up here, I think we discussed last month, a number of us remembered that we had approved this. It's in the budget, the $2 increase. So I just wonder where the confusion came from. And I thought there was an additional $1 an hour for the night shift.
Good question. And we're solving it now?
The only conversation I could find related to the night shift premium for the dispatchers was in the July 1 meeting. I provided the commissioners with a timestamp or a transcript of that 3-minute portion of the meeting approximately. And the last decision by the commission was to consider it at a further opportunity, and it was not brought back to the table.
So that begs the question, like, when that happens and there's an open-ended item on the budget, in the budget discussion, should we have brought that up? By the
Well,
way, we didn't finish that conversation, or like, how's it supposed
I
to
would
work?
think that's Kelly's responsibility, because the same thing happened last meeting when you were discussing evaluations. And then we had to force that to be added to the agenda. Well, I guess I did it on Thursday. So in other words, there are things that we discuss and we think that we've agreed to put it on the agenda. We think we've agreed to perform some task, and then it never happens. So I don't know how we correct that, Kelly. It's not necessarily your fault. I'm just thinking you're the town clerk.
When things are discussed up here and it's discussed that needs to be brought back, I do keep a list. It is then put on the agenda or not put on the agenda based on what the final say is with the town manager. So between the two of us, if she already had previous information that she didn't want it on there, then it wouldn't have been brought up.
Lynn, I thought in
I
our
don't-
one-on-one that you said this was a little bit of a unique situation because it was a shade session where you were talking about, where we were talking about.
The only thing that was said in that shade meeting, because I went back through my notes, was we were talking, Lynn advised that it should not be a percentage, it should be a dollar amount. That was the only thing we talked about in that meeting.
Okay, so who does who listens to the tape, and then that person would really bring all that up when they're listening to the tape of the meeting, right?
I generally take notes
Mhm.
during the meeting for anything that's going to come up. I left the shade session in which we were discussing collective bargaining with what I thought was clear direction across the board.
Okay.
So to avoid this, do we need to institute at the end of the meeting, I'm not a bureaucratic fan, that Kelly tells us what we've accomplished in this meeting that is going to, that fits into that category?
What the open items are, what the to-dos, because
Yeah.
we assumed that somebody was keeping track of the to be acted on items, so, we haven't all been scribbling them down, but
Correct.
going forward, I want to make sure that happens. I don't really care.
So
who
were
does
there
it.
minutes from that meeting? Because there was the other issue that we already dealt with was
Shade
the
sessions have no minutes.
no minutes. Because we talked about the car maximum and that exceeded what we gave as a maximum.
You want to try my idea for a couple meetings and see if it's a waste of time?
Well, the thing is, it's only going to be very few items
Yeah.
that do that.
But it's
so-
happening more frequently.
So it basically would be a recap of something that we say, hey, bring this back to us next meeting.
I mean, I'm used to ending meetings that way. Here's what we agreed, boom, boom, boom. It doesn't take long.
Exactly.
So what are we gonna do about the $2 an hour?
Well, that's the motion you're going to make. Any public comment? All right, back to the commission. Any more discussion?
No, but Mayor, the only discussion I would have is the fact that we included it in the budget, to me, says we all thought we did it. So
And we
the
okayed
fact
it.
that we didn't, yeah, I mean,
So I hate to interrupt
Go for it.
your voting, but maybe I misunderstood in my staff meeting that the motion we want to present is motion number 1, because we don't want names attached to night shift if they move to day shift. The increase is attached to them.
Motion 2 authorizes a one-time pay adjustment, so we can attach names to those specific payments.
But it
because
doesn't
they've
attach
already
it.
been the people,
But it still leaves that the shift premium would be permanently assigned to night shift dispatchers. We don't define who that is, but then you move on and authorize a one-time pay adjustment. And there you can specify who you want to make that payment to.
So which motion do you suggest?
I suggest motion 2,
Okay.
The alternative.
the alternative.
the one with the retroactive, not retroactive.
Not
No,
retroactive.
With the
payment.
one-time.
Sounds like,
One-time payments.
walks
Sounds
like,
like-
but it's not. So,
I move to approve the second alternative motion, approve $2 night shift premium for permanently assigned night shift dispatchers beginning on February 3rd, and to authorize one-time pay adjustment to dispatcher Moore not to exceed $708 and dispatcher Wood not to exceed $769.
Second,
there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. All right, Lynn, report?
I,
No, we did that.
No,
Consent
we was on the
agenda. That was part of the
consent
consent agenda.
okay, my manager's report is in the packet. I will not reread that. You're welcome to read it, but there are a couple of things that I want to add. In front of you is a letter from Palm Beach County that I received at the end of last week, talking about the dredging project for the inlet. That is just a letter for the commission. They also have notified me that they will be sending out certified letters to each of the property owners that will potentially be near the area and affected by the inlet. They will be dredging sand from the inlet area where their park is with one more sandbar, and that sand will be going to re-nourish the area at Hammock Park.
And they will be running a pipe from along the toe of the dune from where they are pumping it over down to.
Where they have the easement, they will
Have they
be
ever
running
done
the
that?
pipe.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that before.
They do
They've
do
done
it
it before.
I've seen the one
periodically.
out in the
Yeah.
ocean and it drifts south.
Yeah.
I've
They
never
go in
seen
the
a pipe.
inlet, on the inside of the inlet. they
That's
fuck all
going
that
all
up.
the way to Hammock Pond. It's like, half a mile, 3/4 of a mile?
Yeah, it's plenty.
All right.
But they're just telling us they do it.
They're giving us.
No, we have
the-
we have nothing to say about it.
Yeah. It's county property, and they've already gotten all of their approvals from the DEP and the Corps of Engineers, so. That will be moving forward, they will do everything, and it is going to be a 24-hour-a-day, project due to the, need to get it done before turtle season. So, they will do everything they can to minimize the noise in the evening, but they will be running 24/7.
Have
Turtle
we
season
notified
starts
that-
March 1st, right?
And
Because
they
they told us this was going April through April.
I believe the letter discusses
April 30th.
exactly. Got it, honey.
Have we notified the residents along?
They're anticipated to begin mid-March and be complete by April 30th. So their efforts are completed as quickly as possible, keeping in line with all of the necessary requirements and safety needs for turtles. The goal is to not have to relocate any turtle nests because of this dredging.
Can I ask a question
Certainly.
about public notices, which I was going to bring up later anyway, but the county is going to notify the residents, but can we not also do the same thing? Everybody along that stretch? I mean, it's the Ocean Club, it's the dunes, it's all the condos along there, Tamarind.
Well, it's also the people on Inlet K that are looking at the inlet, because that's where the barge is gonna be.
It's on Island Drive,
I
yeah.
can't imagine
So
why we
I'm
wouldn't be able to notify our own residents of something we know is gonna happen.
Right, but then it begs the question, what is considered public notice? Not just putting it on the website for someone to go look at, if they choose to go see what is the public notice today, but in fact, actually reaching out to the homeowners.
Well, for a specific project like this, I think reaching out to the specific homeowners is not a bad idea. Now, would you do it just through a mailer? Or would you do it, I'm kind of shy away from doing it from Civic Ready because it gets to the point people are stop paying attention to the Civic Ready. So,
We would most likely
Right.
handle this the same way we do information as required for the CRS renewal every year. And we provide flyers for the bulletin boards in each of the developments. And we try to notify the residents that way.
all right, so we're gonna do that.
How large is the pipe?
I think 18 inches is what they said.
Yeah, they said it's pretty substantial. You won't be able to miss it, but it will be a short-term project.
It's a big pipe. 18
Yeah,
to
that's
24
what
inches.
I'm thinking. You got some elderly people and you're gonna have this pipe in the middle of it.
Well, they fence it all off, so they can't.
How do you get to the beach?
They'll most likely have some sort of a
If they're gonna
crossover.
have a crosswalk, you have to walk up and over.
All right.
They've done it before.
We
But
can't.
we are gonna notice that people are.
We are gonna
Yeah,
notice
we
it.
can't. But I was just
I think we should
What else you
send
got?
letters to.
Additionally, I wanted to bring, as we're all aware, the town is working on replacing and updating our water mains. And as we're doing those projects, there are times that we're finding areas that need immediate attention. In these cases, we may need to take additional steps to ensure the safety of our residents, including short interruptions to areas of service and issuing boil water orders to ensure the health and safety of the residents in our system. We're working closely with the city of Boynton and Boynton Beach Fire Rescue to develop contingency plans as needed. There is an area of the town that we are currently having challenges with, and that is from East Ocean south to Corinne. I would tell you that Boynton Beach Fire Rescue is aware of the situation and have provided a plan if there were to be an issue in that area, as well as a backup plan that I'm happy to discuss with anyone. That we have ensured as much as humanly possible during the time that we're working forward to get this fixed, that we have ensured our safety for the residents.
All right, is that it?
That is it.
Any questions for Lynn? All right. Counselor?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor. You might have noticed on the town's website, if you scroll down on the front page under featured news, we have posted the year-based amendments. That's the evaluation and appraisal review of the town's comprehensive plan. The Planning and Zoning Board Commission has been working on this. They just reviewed it at their December meeting. January, thank you. January meeting, and we're sitting as the local planning agency and has recommended the year-based amendments to the town commission. We didn't want to put them on this agenda because obviously it's helpful to any comprehensive plan amendment to get public participation. So we've taken this month to post it on the town's website so that folks can start reviewing the proposed amendments along with the data and analysis that supports all those amendments. The purpose of this amendment is to update the town's comprehensive plans with any changes in local conditions and any changes to state law. So that's what the focus of this is. First reading of this will be by ordinance, and it's currently scheduled for the March 3rd meeting. The first reading of this amendment is called the transmittal stage. And what will happen is if the comprehensive plan amendments, the year-based amendments are approved at first reading, then they get transmitted to all the other agencies that have an opportunity to review or propose changes and comment, including the state's Department of Commerce, which will do a big review. Once we get back all the comments, then we'll set it for a second reading, which the second reading is the adoption stage. And if it's approved at that point and you've addressed any kind of state comments or other agency comments, then it can be adopted and become the new comprehensive plan. So anyone who's interested, wants to know more, it's now on the website, and they can review that. And if there's any questions, certainly let the manager know, the clerk know, or myself know, and perhaps address those issues.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions?
No, just I've been following this closely, going to the meetings, and had some conversations with the Corey and Jim. Will they be here to make a presentation?
Yes. So Jim Fleischman and Corey Argon, the town planner, will be present. Jim.
At the March meeting?
I'm not going to be here because I'll be in Tallahassee. But we'll call in.
Okay. Any other questions for our attorney? All right. Thank you. Chief?
Yes, sir. My December report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. I answered them. I think for that month, we had 236 traffic stops. We had 5 arrests. We had 177 written warnings and only 52 tickets, so they were on the lenient side, which is good. We had your medical report in there for Brian Ann here. And on January 22nd, as we've already stated, we had our second CPR class for the residents here. It was well received, full attendance, everybody liked it. Fraud, I keep mentioning it. We did a TV show down, I didn't know Briney had their own TV show. We did a TV show down in Briney a couple weeks ago, spreading the word about fraud. We had an appearance Saturday at one of the homeowners association. They've requested a seminar for fraud. I can't get it out there enough. Somebody don't subscribe to a phone call or an internet they're going to ask you for Bitcoin or any other means of payment that you didn't solicit. If they contact you, just put up your red flags. Call us. Don't fall victim. I put it in the newsletter, all the types of fraud that we've encountered, so please read the newsletter. You can read about all the different types. I guess in January, they appointed me again on the board of directors for the Palm Beach County Chiefs Association, so I'll serve another year on the board for the Chiefs Association. That's all I have.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We've got a couple questions, Chief. Congratulations, you guys are doing a great job. Things that I see that I hope that you guys the force will address is, I'm seeing bicycles on the sandy beach. Traditional bicycles with the heavy-duty knobby tires and e-bikes. And I think I've seen an e-bike going at close to 30 miles an hour. So we know we can't have vehicles on the beach. I just hope that the force will look into trying to take care of
As
this.
you told me, when you told me that's the first I've heard of electric bicycle on the beach, so I will definitely make the guys aware, and we do have an ordinance that will address that.
Okay, and then the other thing that I've seen, and I probably could report it and should, I see contractors working on residences on Sundays, which we know they're not supposed to do. So I would hope that the officers on duty spend a little bit of time when they're doing their drive-bys, just looking at these places where work is going on. And they can take care of it at that point.
Sure, and they do stop them on Sundays quite a bit and holidays, and if anybody sees it, please call us and we'll respond. And I'll make sure they pay attention.
Thank you very much, you're doing a great job.
I got a little follow-up on that. We used to have a policy, I don't know if it was ever written down, that you couldn't park motorcycles, basically anything with an engine at the bike racks.
That's right.
Now, is that still our policy or not?
Ordinance, you mean?
Ordinance, yeah. I don't know if it's an ordinance or just how.
I'd have to look for parking at a bicycle.
It has a tag.
Yeah, okay.
What
It has a
tag?
tag.
It has a tag.
So if it's got a
There is
license plate.
There's a sign at Porter for a golf cart. I don't know where it
Two
came
parking
from.
spots. Talk to Mr. Brown and Mr. Pugh.
That's low-speed vehicles, though.
Right, but it has a tag.
I believe we have an ordinance for bike paths and bike parking areas where vehicles cannot be parked.
And what is a vehicle? That's where we get tricky, because it's an electric bike, a vehicle.
Vehicle is defined in our ordinance as any wheeled conveyance designed and used for the purpose of transporting or moving persons, animals, freight, or merchandise, including but not limited to bicycles and motor vehicles. So,
Yeah. I bring this up because down at Beachway, there's a couple motorcycle guys, a couple screw guys, and they take up, half the bike rack. And I don't know what
And they wear leather jackets, right?
Where they
I saw the movie.
Where they represent the Ocean Ridge.
Florida.
Ocean Ridge Motorcycle Club.
Mungo.
So what I'm hearing here is if it's what I call an engine, a petrol engine, it's not allowed at the bike rack.
I would say, no, and like you said, we cited them,
Oh, you did?
yes.
Oh, I missed that part.
I know we've cited scooters and mopeds and things like that in the past for parking there.
Okay, thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to commissioner comments. Commissioner
Okay.
Cassidy,
All right.
you're up.
All right. First of all, I want to say just publicly thank you to Starbright and to the Ocean Ridge Garden Club, both for writing letters of support for our appropriations request for funds from the state. So thank you very much. That goes a long way. I have a question just about policy. If one of us has something important that we think should be added to an agenda, does it have to be brought up here, or can we ask the town manager to reach out to the other commissioners and see if it can be added to the agenda? Is this the only forum for adding an agenda item?
No, I mean,
Christie looks like she's ready to.
the latter, I mean, that's why we have those one-on-ones too. I mean, if the town manager
Well,
reaches
at that
out.
point, it's too late, because the agenda's done by the time we have the one-on-one.
Oh, no, they
Wait,
can
wait, wait,
revise.
wait. If you have something that's really important to you,
Mhm.
and since we cannot speak amongst each other to talk about it,
Mhm.
the town manager reaches out to each one of the commissioners And if the commission as a whole is agreeing to that, then I would say it should be on the agenda. It can be put on the agenda, but it's up to the town manager
Okay.
of what to put on the agenda.
As long
Am
as
I
the
halfway right?
request,
You're halfway right. The rules of procedure that the commission has says the town manager sets the agenda. You can request that an item be added onto the agenda prior to the time that's set for when it has to be published. It's ultimately up to the town manager whether or not she puts that on the agenda. If you request it after that time frame, then it's supposed to come here for a discussion as to whether or not to add it to the agenda, just as you did at the beginning of this meeting to add it to additions or deletions of the agenda. That's in your current rules. I would not recommend that the town manager poll the commissioners about an item. Instead, just make the decision if it's timely requested, either to put it on the agenda or not put it on the agenda, or advise the commission to just bring it up in agenda deletions, additions or deletions.
Okay.
Or we can revisit your rules of procedure.
Well, there are rules, yeah. I mean, I asked for an item to be put on this agenda, and I was told I couldn't do it.
Same with me, and it was well before it
I'm
was
under the
published.
impression we are gonna discuss it tonight.
It wasn't on the agenda.
No.
So I'm bringing it up in commissioners' comments.
I
And now to
Likewise.
get it on the agenda to take an action on it, it'll take another month.
Right.
So that process just slows everything down.
Well, how about
I'm gonna like
this?
that
Well,
process.
all right, so there's a point in time where the agenda is typed up and everything is put on thing. So to bring it up a week before the meeting is not gonna work.
No.
However, look at the rules, and if we want to amend the rules, we'll say, all right, if within a 2-week period of when the meeting is, we decide as a group that we, unfortunately, I may disagree with our counselor, that the commission's polled and everybody agrees that, yes, that's something that should be brought to the meeting. Because you're bringing, most of the stuff you're bringing up is for the public anyway, right? So if it's something very important, it needs to be brought up rather than wait a whole another month to do it. It should be brought up. However, it has to be brought up in a certain time frame prior to when the agenda is put on there, because you're putting a lot of undue strain on the clerk. Also, we won't have the information, we as the other commissioners, of what exactly you're bringing up. So if a lot of times if you bring up something, which I've seen in the past, where people bring up something they want to speak about, and there's a lot of detail to it, you don't get to look at that detail until the night of the meeting. So it's hard to make a very good decision on it.
Yeah, I'm okay with 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to help.
So
things along.
we'll bring back, Christie, you want to bring something back on our rules? That maybe we look at just a little tweaking of the agenda.
Process?
Is that
So
satisfied?
am I
No, that's good.
misunderstanding this? Christie, if let's say you eclipse the 2-week rule, but you want it on the agenda at that meeting, you can, technically, the commission can vote to put it on the current agenda at the meeting, at the top of the meeting, and then we discuss it.
Correct, that's just like what you did tonight. At the additions and deletions, you could ask for an item to be added, and then you all take a vote on the additions and deletions.
And then we go active on it. Okay.
Now, what a recommended course of action to do is, if an item is to be voted on and it may have public significance, sort of like what the mayor was saying, ideally, you'd want to publish that in the agenda that goes out to the public, so the public's aware if you're gonna make a big decision about something. That's just recommended.
Okay.
It is not required by law. You don't even have to post an agenda. You just have to post that there's gonna be a meeting and when and where it's gonna be.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
To your point.
Okay.
Okay. And then back to the public notices. This just came up in planning and zoning meeting when they're talking about the comp plan amendment. And these have been considered public hearings, at least the last meeting was. And what public notice was sent out, because the P&Z decided by consensus to have it publicly noticed, but the public notice was really just a legal notice on the website. So again, if you're not looking for it and interested in it, you wouldn't know necessarily, but that satisfied the public notice rule. So when there are public notices, I'm just asking, can we have something broader? And I know we don't want to abuse Civic Ready, but the comp plan amendment is one of the most important things that we do. So, as a commission.
I kind of
So-
disagree with Jeff on the Civic Ready. I think people do read all this.
I read them.
So I don't have a problem
Yeah.
using that as a notice system, for instance, on this pipe.
Yeah, but would you put, see, there's different notices, public notices and legal notices. And the legal notice is what we were discussing when we were talking, when we moved it off the newspaper onto the website. So you want to now put all the legal notices on there?
Not all the legal, but
So
this
that's
is
what you have to
a
differentiate
public
then.
hearing for,
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You have to differentiate between a public notice and a legal notice. Because if you're going to put all notices, then that's going to be
Okay,
a problem.
well,
Because
this
what
was-
happens is going to be look at, like you look at the legal notice in the newspaper.
I agree, but it's
planning and
common sense
zoning
here.
agreed that this should be.
Isn't this a great
public
opportunity
notice.
to use Civic Ready to alert those homeowners on that stretch of sand that there's gonna be a pipe in their backyard?
Absolutely.
And
But
the-
that would be a public notice. And then you'd put a public, so you'd have to differentiate
Okay.
between the two. That's-
But it was a public notice we were talking about, right, Shields? Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea for us to give notice to everybody in the town that that's gonna happen on
Yeah.
this big pipe, because if they're walking down the beach or whatever.
Well, it's also been in also the newsletter too.
Can I also mention that with the legal notices website, that if someone were to subscribe to it, they can decide whether they want to get those notices emailed to them. If you hit subscribe, you can hit notices for everything that I publish out, or you can just hit for public notices, just for legal notices, whatever. And as soon as I post something up there, you get an email.
Okay, so can you differentiate between the public notice and the legal notices? Because I would not want to have legal notices in
Yes, you
Civic
can.
Ready.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
When you
Okay.
hit subscribe, you pick what you want to get noticed on.
But my question is, when you do the notices, whether they're public or they're legal,
Yes, because I
then
have
you
to
can
identify the
put the
category.
public notices on our Civic Ready.
On the Civic Ready, if you guys want public notices on Civic Ready, I can do that. It's a separate system.
Well, in this particular.
Well, I guess
I'm
the
saying
definition of a public notice is public notice. You're noticing the public,
Right.
so why not do it on the Civic Ready?
Because I'm legally required to stick it on the legal.
Okay, so do it on both, but just the public
Both,
ones
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Civic Ready.
That's
The
fine.
legal ones on the legal notice.
But they're all gonna go on the website.
All going on.
Okay.
So
Very
the
good.
culmination of this is we've just concluded, so we don't avoid our problem again, that we're going to notify via Civic Ready the entire town to the pipe that's gonna be on the beach.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That would be the
So they
public
don't have to
notice.
chase down just the neighbors that are next door.
Okay.
Are we all square on that?
Yep.
Kelly, Lynn?
Thank you. And in the notice category, HOAs all have different rules when they're doing renovations and what they require of their homeowners. We are aware that there are a number of people that do renovations in, say, gated area that don't get permits. Do we recommend that maybe planning and zoning look at this, how to communicate with the HOAs about our building department rules?
Well, the permit is with the homeowner, not with the HOA.
Right, but usually when people have to do a renovation, that they have to notify their HOA. So
Right.
does an HOA just say, that's fine if you don't want to get a permit? Or
Well, I don't think
should we
the HOA.
suggest they require that they get?
No, the HOA is not saying that's fine, I have to get a permit. What I'm saying is that, I guess what I'm getting from you is that you're saying that if somebody goes in and illegally is doing work in their apartment,
Mhm.
do you want the HOA to police that?
I think they have to get the HOA approval in
I
most
thought they're
cases,
doing
right?
illegally anyway, so what, they're not gonna go to the HOA. And the HOA, you don't want the HOA going there and, creating a problem.
Well,
If
I
somebody
mean,
wants to
an
call the
HOA is
police
gonna know if
department
someone's
and
doing
says,
work.
there's a code enforcement issue.
We've had a lot of code enforcement issues with things like
But
this.
But that's the process.
But
I'm just
maybe-
saying, when you involve the HOA, you're involving a group of people that really don't have, the only thing they have is the rules for the little development. And when you're pulling a permit, you have to have the HOA approval. But if I'm not pulling a permit, I'm doing something illegal, that would be a code enforcement issue.
But maybe it might be a good idea to reinforce with the HOAs that these are our rules and they should encourage their residents to abide by them.
I don't see any problem with that. We don't have that many HOAs, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Hmm.
We do.
I don't like, I'm not going near this. Because, no, seriously, now you're gonna have a situation where somebody wants to replace a rug. And then the HOA gets involved because maybe you need a permit, maybe you don't. I think the way it's working right now might be a little messy, but how many complaints do you get?
Ask Kelly.
From HOAs, not from neighbors.
From the HOAs, I think I can count on one hand, I've got it from the HOAs,
So where are you getting the complaints? I'm not following.
the neighbors.
Right, which is a standard
Right.
code compliance issue. That, hey, my neighbor's putting in, drywall. And I
Right.
can hear them banging on the door, the wall. That's a complaint. That's a code.
And whether the
enforcement.
neighbor's in an HOA or not, it's a neighbor, right?
Right, but think about it, the HOA is not this, enclosed group. It's literally a group of people who live there. And the last thing, well, maybe not the last thing, some of those folks are not gonna go in there and start, turning in their neighbors. Maybe the neighbor's gonna turn in their neighbor, but if you're not putting the HOA in charge of going out there and saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing this,
Okay,
I think that would be a town issue.
just
And then,
trying to make things work a little more smoothly.
but then you're kind of pitting the HOA, putting an HOA in charge. I don't know, I disagree.
Okay, all right. I also would like to raise again the issue of the joint workshop with planning and zoning. And the reason I say this is I've been going to the planning and zoning meetings. They look at the things that they're being asked to look at that we have directed them to with no context. There's been no conversation. There was confusion at the last meeting about something they were asked to look at and basically got passed over because they didn't understand where it came from, why it was generated in the first place. If we had one workshop where everyone's kind of sitting down, setting out the goals, then everybody more efficiently uses their time.
Does planning and zoning like the idea?
Shields,
Certain.
you gotta come up to the microphone.
In certain instances, it would be helpful, but a lot of times, we're kind of working on the things, and I think we understand the topics you're asking us, but there's certain things that are a little bit obscure, hedges and these other things. We're not sure where we're getting the comments from. What's the context behind it?
Right, well then,
what's
why
the
wouldn't,
process?
in that
When
particular,
we talk about it internally, have our own discussion, then give it back to you guys.
that's exactly right. You give
Yeah.
it back to us and we kind of clarify there. I'm just, to me, the workshop, how I feel about the workshop. I feel it's the commissioners telling you what to do at a workshop.
Yep.
That's what it is. And the whole point is that of your group, is to discuss among yourselves and then bring back to us what you thought about the ideas that we're giving you. Now, we don't even have to do that. If we really wanted to, as a commission, we could sit here and say, okay, this is what we're doing and do it right now, not even pass it down to the planning zone. But we do that so we get the input from the members of that who are part of the community that come together and they make that decisions on, hey, this is what we think. Now, if you have a confusion to that amount, then why not bring that to hey, this one issue, we have a little bit of we're not really sure what to do here, and they bring it back to us and maybe we can clear it up.
Right, but do it right
Carolyn's been at the meeting.
On the
so-
podium.
Right, just like you do right
Carolyn's
now.
been at the meeting, so we have asked her in the past, what do you think about this, or give us some background on it. So she's been great to be there and give us a little bit of feedback.
Yeah, but see, the thing,
We couldn't ever get our-
but that's the
together,
problem
right?
though. And I'm sorry, but that is the problem.
Yeah.
Because she's giving her feedback at a meeting.
I'm answering a question. I'm not giving an
Well,
opinion.
that's feedback. And the thing is, that is tainting. She has her opinion of that feedback.
Yes,
That's
I get
not
it.
all of our
Yeah.
opinion of feedback. So that's why in my personal things, I do not go to any of those meetings because it really messes with the objectivity of when you come back with what you're going to give. If I'm at that meeting, now my whole decisions are all subjective to what I've learned at those meetings, going to those meetings. And that's my way I've been doing things for a long time. If you have a problem, they're confused, I think you should just bring that confusion or whatever those questions are to the town commission. We all discuss it as a town commission and we give it back to you.
But
We have an opportunity.
I
to
just-
talk
I'm
about it
against
internally.
the-
I think it is a good process.
It's just a difference in
I-
opinion.
But just to
Okay,
clarify,
you can listen to the meetings. I've said nothing influential. I go for my own education and to hear about plan review. And on the flip side of this whole thing is that by meeting in a workshop, we could actually come together, have some direction, cohesive direction together without operating completely separately. So,
I just believe that's kind of the point, but.
It's up to the town.
So-
You're saying two different things right here.
I don't understand what you're doing right now. Let's supposing you didn't understand the hedges.
Yeah.
So you guys have a meeting and then at that meeting you say, you know what, I'm gonna go in front of the town commission and ask them to clarify.
We don't do that. We talk internally and try to figure it out internally and then
But
bring
can
it
ask
to
the
you
town
and say,
attorney
this is
or-
our
yeah.
recommendation.
I don't have any problem with the P and Z showing up at a meeting and asking clarification, just like
We're not,
right now.
I agree 100% with
Yeah.
that.
We haven't
But that's
got to the
not-
point where
but
we need
that's not-
clarification to that level.
But that's not
I know.
Carolyn's issue. And Carolyn's issue, when you have a workshop where we discuss the things that they're confused about. Isn't that the gist of it?
Mhm.
So I'm just, I don't believe in that, but
No.
I mean, it is up to the commission. We're all equal here.
So whatever you want us to do.
I'm not hearing that the commission is saying, pounding the table and saying they need to have this. I leave it the way it is for now, and if it doesn't work, we can revisit it.
I like that.
Okay. Finally, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the water contract. The fact that we don't have our contract with Boynton Beach to purchase water expired in 2020. And we keep going along, and I've talked to Christy about it. We talked about it in my staff meeting. One of Lynn's objectives last year was to ratify a contract with Boynton Beach. And we brought it up a year ago. And in asking about that, I've sensed a bit of hesitancy to pursue that because it's kind of like we can just go along. Why broke it? Well, why fix it if it's not broken? But the point is we're spending all this money on our water infrastructure. I think we need a contract going forward, not one that's been expired for 5 years and we're just kind of, well, someone can cancel it, with a year's notice. I guess we have to both agree to cancel it, but I think we need to look into this a little bit more than, what would entering into a contract with Boynton Beach look like? Do they want us to be they'd want us to be a bulk water customer, which would mean the water would be less, but we'd have to be our own utility and do our billing. But could we negotiate with them to not be a bulk customer? They don't have to maintain any of our infrastructure. We're doing that.
Have they offered us a
we're-
contract? Have they offered us anything?
They have not, and when I have spoken to their head of utilities, Poonam, she has said that it's not a priority for them. When I have talked to the assistant manager, he said that it is not a priority for their manager, that their priorities are to do annexation to the west, and that they are satisfied with the contract as it is year to year, even though it's expired.
Are we concerned at all that if they are successful in doing annexation, that they could end up with a burden on the water that causes them to cancel us or something in the future? I mean, is there a downside to us if we don't lock them up?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not an expert in this, but I believe you have to have consumptive use permits that provide for the capacity to serve based on unit population. So if that became an issue, I think we'd all hear about it, but this would be something maybe for the town engineer to get into, because then you start talking about how much use and the capacity and things like that.
I would just be concerned about any downside we have.
Right,
if we have a
typically with what happens is, your water service area can already, and I don't know what Boynton's water service area is, it may already extend beyond their municipal boundaries. So they may be actually annexing people that they currently provide water to, or those properties may be serviced by Palm Beach County Utilities or another municipality. It just varies. So there's a lot of different factors we'd have to find
I mean,
out.
they sell water to one of the golf courses I play at. I know that. If somebody builds another golf course and they want to sell water to them, could they decide to stop providing us with, I mean, I don't know how the contract works.
Well, under the contract we have, it's technically expired. It says it goes from year to year, but there's no provision that says here's how you terminate. Now, one could argue that maybe it's a year's notice of termination, but there is a specific provision saying that parties have to mutually agree to terminate.
Does it say that they cannot terminate us unless we have a reasonable alternative?
Well, I think you could find case law that would support that another municipality serving another municipality's water couldn't terminate and leave you.
I have a slightly
High
different
and dry
question,
wood.
and I know you're not a contract attorney, but to my common sense mind, if you have a contract with somebody expired when, 2021, somewhere around there?
2020.
2020, and we pay 2021, and then we pay 2022. Doesn't that legally, and I don't know the answer to this, doesn't that legally mean the contract is still in effect? Because in fact, we have paid for the contract.
The contract is still in effect. The original term was 30 years. The 30-year original term expired. Now it goes from year to year. And then there's a provision that says it can only be terminated upon mutual agreement.
So we really only have a 1-year contract now. It's a rolling
That's it.
1 year.
That's
That's
it.
my question.
That's an
So it's a
argument.
rolling, in the original 30 contract, it says this 1-year option at the end. So we're in the 1-year option.
But keeping in mind,
there's
it
some
also
risk.
says
Yeah.
both parties have to agree. So even if Boynton wants to terminate, if the town does not agree to allow them to terminate, they can't cut us off. It's a mutual termination agreement.
That's the way the agreement is written. There's a year to year, and then there's a provision that says we have to mutually agree to terminate. So obviously, I believe the original intent is that the parties mutually agree to either enter a new contract or they mutually agree to terminate.
To Jeff's point, if we actually go in and negotiate.
What do we negotiate? We have no leverage.
Well, we actually do, I mean.
And it's good water. It's
Well,
good water.
It is.
Well, unlike
On that
the
website.
other areas, like unincorporated areas or some of the places that they're trying to annex right now, they do provide the water, but they also installed the infrastructure.
Right.
Our infrastructure is our own, so we are less of a burden to them. We are less of a cost to
Except
them.
the meter.
They're just providing, they have the meters
They own the meters.
and they do the billing.
Right, but the thing is that makes each home in Ocean Ridge Boynton Beach water customer.
Right.
The town of Ocean Ridge is not really the customer, it's all these individual homeowners are the customer. And the thing is, if you negotiate a new contract, I mean, this way, when somebody says, I want a new contract, I want a new contract for service or anything else, what's the first thing you do, the person who's writing the contract? You increase the price.
Well, I think
So
it's built
if
into,
I'm going along right now and everything is pretty hunky-dory and we're keeping our prices low, if we push and push and push a new contract, aren't we just putting a new burden on the town residents for more cost?
Do they change the
well, I
water
believe
rates
in
after all?
the terms of the contract, it discusses rates. They are not charging us any kind of a surcharge.
So that's if you start a new contract, then they can
Right.
renegotiate a new contract, and the new contract could be for whatever they want to put it at.
So,
And where were we
okay.
at?
So
That's
I-
that's
what
my
I-
point.
Let me just say this. The last conversation before the current town manager that we had with Boynton was Boynton wanted the town to become a bulk water user, meaning the town would have to create its own utility, which is a huge expense. The other option that we threw out is the town owns its water service area and the town owns its sewer service area. So your leverage that you would have is sort of like what the town of Hydroxo did, was it sold its entire system and its service areas to Boynton to take them over. That is another option that is available to the town if you wanted to renegotiate a contract. And one of the things we threw out, just having a conversation, was what if Boynton came in and established sewer in
Well,
the town of Ocean Ridge?
I'm pretty sure I remember that discussion was with Boynton. And Boynton said, well, we don't want to spend the infrastructure money to replace all the lines in town. And I
Well,
think that was one of the
but I
discussions
think
that we
that-
had at that,
But wasn't
That's
that
what
was just a discussion?
that's
of
what came
water,
to
though, I
the
think, wasn't it?
discussion. They didn't want to put the money in. Why do you think we're doing? We're putting money, so if we're going to negotiate away our piping that we're spending all this money on, and now Boynton owns the piping, owns the everything, what do you think is going to happen to your water bill?
I think Christie was
I
saying.
mean, it's going
something
to go
different.
up. And then once we get sewer, you have sewer and water on there, and that's going to be like a double cost because of this water, there's water going in, there's water coming out.
But I think she was saying something different. I think that the last conversation was, we said to Boynton, how about if you take over the infrastructure and we'll be water customers? And I think they were like,
No way.
why would we go do that?
Yeah, they were not doing it.
But it's something different if we said, hey, you can, would you be interested in the whole package, including sewer and water? I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying that's a different
That was a whole different
conversation.
discussion, yeah.
It's a different conversation. And it could end up that that's in our benefit. I just don't know. I mean, it depends on.
Well,
that
Right
discussion
now,
will
we're
take-
talking about something that really isn't, in my mind, a problem yet. It could be a problem, and we should be ready for it.
It actually
but-
sounds like if the contract's written the way Christie says, which is
It's not a
bizarre to
problem.
me, then they can't,
There's,
we should leave it the way it is. because
Exactly.
They can't.
keep
ever
flying under the
terminate.
radar.
Yeah.
That's what we've been saying.
Yeah.
And if they decide to
Why
change
would they
it,
ever
then
agree
we
to a
face
contract?
that when we get to it. And then we can make some of these,
But now-
Well, I understand, yeah.
No.
So,
Maybe we were buddies with it.
I believe
think
in
it's,
being
I really,
prepared,
I have
and we've
to,
not even had a conversation,
I have
so.
to hand it to you because it's, at least you're bringing it up and we're having discussion.
Yeah, well, it's a good
And I think
conversation.
that's wonderful. That's what the whole point of us being up here is about.
I didn't know that our contract was written the way it is, but now that I understand that, I think maybe we let it ride for a while.
Can you ride that wave as long as you can?
Right.
Come on.
Maybe it'll come into focus with sewers.
It might be part of the conversation, and we might be better off not having a contract at that point. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Ayala?
Okay, I had one item, I talked about it in the one-on-one meeting, I talked about it with Christie. And the item is, I wanted to suggest that we accelerate the town manager evaluation to the March 3rd meeting. The reason for that is that last year it was my first year involved in the process, but we were doing that right at the exact same time that we were doing budget. And it was just, we just didn't, I don't think anybody had time to give it the proper amount of focus. So I would suggest a new process. Christie was kind enough to draft a more concise evaluation form. She sent that to all of us on Thursday, January 30th. And I'd like to suggest that we all agree that we'll use that form and that we'll complete it either by February 17th or February 24th, which would be either 2 weeks or 1 week before the next meeting. And that then last year, the process we used is we all submitted our evaluations, and I think you, Mr. Mayor, read them all and then had a meeting to discuss it with Lynn. I think that was the process we used, but I would suggest that that's the process we use this year, or some other commissioner could be designated the person to have that one-on-one conversation with Lynn. But the idea is to kind of separate it from the budget cycle because it's just too much stuff going on at one time.
So March or April? What's
March.
March?
March 3rd, we would submit them in the next 2 weeks, or 3 weeks if you guys think you need 3 weeks to get your evaluation form done.
So I brought the exact same thing up in my staff meeting.
Oh.
And so the only thing I requested, and then Christie was nice enough to dig these evaluation forms out, is that tonight we just decide on which form to use. I don't have a preference for March or April.
I'm fine. I have a preference for March, and I just suggested we use the new abbreviated form just because it covers most of the same topics. It's just easier to get.
Do you have a preference for March or April?
So
You already did yours.
I think so, I already did it, and I did the longer. So,
Dave?
March, short form.
All right, so what's the consensus? March short form?
I'm good with that.
Whatever the
I'm
board
good with
wants.
that.
As I said, I don't care March, April.
that's
All right.
fine.
This is
The only thing good
discussion
about-
item, right?
I'm sorry?
This is a discussion item.
No, we're just gonna be, it's a consensus, so if you wanna do it in March, you wanna do it in
We'd be taking
April.
action on this now. We'd be agreeing that this is what we're
March.
gonna do. We don't have to
Okay,
wait until
March.
next.
So is everybody agreeing March evaluations for the March meeting?
And we're gonna use the short form,
And we're
gonna
doing the
submit
short,
them.
which is form number 2.
the easy, the evaluation easy.
And Jeff, would you rather have them submitted in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks?
I'm sorry?
Do you want them submitted by the 17th or by the 24th?
I vote 24.
I vote 24 too.
I'm glad I didn't say 30th.
I would have said,
There is no,
All right, so we all in agreement? February 24th is the drop dead date to turn in the short evaluation.
And thank you, Christie, for being so responsive on that.
And if you don't, oh my goodness.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, are the forms going to be submitted like to the town clerk to keep her record and then provided to you for you to discuss? Or is that what we're going to decide at the March 3rd meeting?
No, my proposal was that we would submit them, I guess we did it last year was we submitted them to Kelly. And then the idea I thought last year was that you were going to kind of consolidate them in your.
We
get
did,
them all
we
and
got
talk
the,
with-
and then we did this is your average on all the
Yeah,
different
yeah.
items. yeah.
So that
That's
would
how we
be the
did it last
process.
year.
I would suggest that process in advance of the next the meeting in March 3rd. So you would complete that conversation before that. Everybody good with that?
I think we should send them to Christie.
Okay.
to do what with?
To collate.
Saw the look.
hot potato is now down here.
Right. I think that the evaluation forms should be sent to the town attorney.
Okay.
And then you can disperse them from there, you know, because
When,
an internal,
Ultimately, they
you're
post it.
you're an outside source, but then you send them to, you know, to Kelly, she's working with Lynn, and you're reading all these forms. I'm just saying, you really may be put on the spot where you know all these, whatever everybody's evaluation is.
so the question is then, when is the information released to Kelly and Lynn?
Prior to the meeting, when we're gonna do the evaluation.
I think they end up getting posted publicly, right?
There'd be public records.
Right.
So everybody will find, you know, see them.
Well, you have the choice of either having them posted or them just being public record, at which point somebody would have to request the public record. If you're going to have the mayor collate, condense it all down, and then have a single discussion, and then any highlight salient points the commission would then discuss at the March meeting. However you all choose.
How did we do it last year?
Last year, we did it all painfully in public on the dais.
Yes, we did.
It's painful
And
for
did we,
everyone in
and
the
did we
room.
post the evaluations?
All the evaluation forms were part of the packet that way.
Mhm.
And
I don't really prefer that approach, quite frankly. I'd rather have it be that someone needs to request them if they want to see it.
One more time with that?
Last year, we just posted everything, all the evaluations that were individually completed. I'm not sure I see the value in that. I'd rather that if someone is, if a resident is truly interested and wants to go request to see them, that then they could request to see them, but I wouldn't just post them out there for the whole world to see. I'm not sure what
Right,
value that
the
is.
collated, consolidated version of all of the average responses and any comments could then be in the packet, but
Right.
not the individual forms.
I just am not sure, in a way, it might have a chilling effect on, you know, people's willingness to, you know, be forthright. It helps if the person being evaluated can get real candid feedback, not some edited version because people thought, oh my God, this is gonna be published for everybody to see. So that would just be my preference, but I can live with it either way.
I've been through 3 of these, and they always turn sour, no matter how you structure it. It's just an uncomfortable event.
Well, it can be. So, all right,
I'm not
so
sure
we're
what
going to do the
it
short
was.
form, term in by the 24th. Send to Christie, send it to me. I'll coagulate them all, and then we'll have the discussion at the March meeting.
Okay.
Just so you're aware too, my agenda packet, because you guys always want it early enough for the one-on-ones. If you have it in by the 24th for you guys, that means the agenda packet will not include any of that information. So it'll have to be submitted.
I think
at
that's
the
okay.
meeting.
That's okay, right? We don't even have to,
No,
we don't
I
even
just
have to
wanted
publish.
let
No, you
guys
don't have
know.
to have, yeah.
I just want to let you guys know that none of the information will be in the agenda.
Okay.
I'll have the line item, but it just won't have any documents. I just want to make you guys aware.
Okay.
You go with it?
And I'll go with it. I'm not good with it.
All right. Thank you, Peter.
That's all.
So you have a consensus what we're doing with this then? All right. And we don't have to do a recap?
Nope.
All right. Is that it? All right. What's that? Yes.
I didn't mean to say.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for coming, and the meeting's adjourned.
You didn't mean to say.